Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Daily Triple, your no shit gaming news video. That's 3 news stories in one video with zero faff. Do you remember Anthem? The game that came out last year with one of the coolest premises that EA still managed to screw up? Don't worry if you can't remember. No one can. Developer BioWare announced back in February that the game would be going through a complete overhaul to reinvent the core gameplay loop with clear goals, motivating challenges, and progression with meaningful rewards. Now BioWare has finally broken its silence to share some details about the Anthem Next project in a blog post. The post comes from studio director of BioWare Austin Christian Daly, accompanied by his young baby and 3 dogs. Trying to win favour with adorable dogs, are you, Christian? I know your game, I'm on to you. He explains that the game is currently going through an incubation period of prototyping to go back to the drawing board with a small team of 30. This post is full of vague language like that. The Anthem incubation has kicked off and we're starting to validate our design hypothesis.
What are you talking about?
He continues by saying that they want to be open and honest with people, and that may mean you will see things that look awesome but end up on the cutting room floor, or things that you think might suck that you feel we're spending too much time on. This transparency is definitely a good thing and something we desperately need more of in this industry in my opinion, but it begs the question, why are we only just hearing about this after 3 months of silence? All in all, the post is very thin on details, and this is just an update on the team's outlook rather than any tangible plans beyond "you'll hear more soon," meaning that it's ultimately pretty pointless. So in that case, why wait 3 months? Why not wait 6 months until you have something actually worth saying? However, it would be difficult to make Anthem any worse than it already is, so more or less anything BioWare does now would be an improvement. Although we mustn't forget that this is EA after all, and if there's one thing that company is good at, it's finding new ways to piss off their players. There are apparently some people still playing Anthem somewhere out there in the world, and if you're having fun, more power to you, Chief, but Anthem has a lot of making up to do. The biggest problem with this announcement is a lack of information. There are no indications of a release time frame or what Anthem Next even really is. Is it a relaunch? Is it a brand new game? Is it just a series of updates? No one knows. Everyone forgot about Anthem and moved on, so coming out now to remind people that it exists while adding no new information feels like a wasted endeavour. It may have been better to leave it until there is actually something worth saying. All they're saying now is, we've got some really cool stuff but we can't tell you anything about it, so just wait. Instead of telling people to wait, why don't you just tell us the cool stuff when it's ready? What do you think? Are you glad to hear any news on Anthem in the hopes that it can be salvaged, or would you rather wait for something a bit more substantial? Personally, I'll believe there's hope for Anthem when I see it, and just telling me that it's coming doesn't exactly rev my javelin. The inclusion of anti-cheat is a dubious topic to broach at the best of times. On the one hand, it can help root out cheaters in multiplayer games to make the experience better for all those playing the game properly. On the other hand, it can affect a game's performance in very negative ways. It often requires access to areas of your system you may not want to be exposed, and cheaters always find their way in anyway, so is it even worth it? Generally, these debates happen around the launch of a game and then die down, but Doom Eternal and Bethesda are doing things a little differently. In Doom Eternal's latest update, in addition to bringing a series of improvements and new features such as empowered demons and live events, de novo anti-cheat has now been implemented. As is tradition with these sorts of things, a review bomb ensued with over 4,700 negative reviews coming in since May 14th on Steam when the update went live. A swathe of negative reviews are also hitting the Metacritic user score, bringing the current figure down to 7.4. Players across Steam and Reddit are reporting decreased performance since de novo was included, with some claiming that it's completely unplayable. Riot Games' new multiplayer shooter Valorant went through similar criticism recently with its anti-cheat software, which embeds itself at the kernel level of a user's system, which has led many to fear that it's spyware. I've already covered the Valorant situation, but for a full explanation of why this is a problem, check out this PC Gamer article on Valorant's anti-cheat in the description. Implementing this sort of stuff post-launch is never a good thing because it calls into question all of the reviews that were made about the game, a great many of which were very positive, including mine. How valid are all those reviews now that the game has fundamentally been altered for a lot of players to the extent that they can no longer even play it? It's misleading because if the game was re-reviewed now, the scores could well be different, and is yet another example of a publisher abusing the review system to get positive press at launch. It's a Trojan horse before unveiling all the crap they're about to shove your way. I learned today that this is known as milkshake duck and is even in the Oxford English Dictionary.
You're despicable.
Erdito, the folks behind Denuvo, ensures that Denuvo by Erdito is a GDPR-compliant third-party data processor, and it's in our best interest to avoid collection of any personal identifiable information. Unlike other anti-cheat solutions, our anti-cheat solution does not take screenshots, scan your file system, or stream shellcode from the internet. We collect information on how the operating system interacts with the game and send the information to Amazon-hosted servers for cheat detection. Denuvo can promise it's not spying on people all at once, and I doubt many people will even believe that just because they say so, but there's no mention of the detrimental impact it actually has on performance. Does kernel deep anti-cheat raise security and performance concerns for you, or is this just the necessary price to pay for cheat-free multiplayer? To complete this one-off episode of the Real Game Publishers of Beverly Hills, we've got Ubisoft trying to sue Apple and Google. The video game publisher is taking two of the biggest companies in the world to court because it believes that the mobile game Area F2 is a near carbon copy of Rainbow Six Siege. It's funny that Ubisoft is the one calling out other games for being carbon copies. I mean, aren't all Ubisoft games just carbon copies of each other?
How dare you point at me? You were pointing first. Rude to point.
You're being very rude.
Ubisoft said, Ubisoft's competitors are constantly looking for ways to piggyback on Rainbow Six Siege's popularity and to capture the attention and money of Rainbow Six Siege players. Area F2 is made by Alibaba Group Holdings Limited, which sounds about as convincing as any other asset-flipping knockoff merchant, but this one is actually a well-established technology company based,
wait for it,
in China. Personally, I don't get why Ubisoft is suing Google and Apple rather than companies that actually made it, since they're just the distributors, but maybe you can enlighten me in the comments. Ubisoft continued, Rainbow Six Siege is among the most popular competitive multiplayer games in the world, and is among Ubisoft's most valuable intellectual properties. Virtually every aspect of Area F2 is copied from Rainbow Six Siege, from the operator selection screen to the final scoring screen, and everything in between. I mean, based on the gameplay of Area F2, it's pretty clear that more than a few cues were taken from Rainbow Six Siege, but what do you think? Is this just a crappy mobile carbon copy like all the others, or is Ubisoft clutching at straws here? And that's your lot for today. If you enjoyed this no shit format, go ahead and give the video a like to give it a boost, hit subscribe and the bell if you want to stay up to date on all future installments. Toss a coin to your YouTuber over at patreon.com/prettygoodgaming. That's all for today. I've been Henry Cooper. Bye for now.